I'm improvising this pretty much, although I've written a bunch of stuff. Let's see, there's going to be an image here. So this, I'm going to take a little bit of responsibility for this topic, part responsibility at least, because I was in a bookstore in my neighborhood where Albert also goes, and I had just decided that I was going to start to think about fun. And the reason, when this image goes up, you get it? The reason I wanted to think about fun is because I had this incident, this event. This was like an event. That's me 2 days before my 55th birthday, and I'm in Saks Fifth Avenue. And I want to just disclaim that this is really not, let's see, I wrote this down, my disclaimer. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. So disclaimer, giddiness is not always fun, though it's infectious. I have no intention to promote bourgeois high, meaning giddy capitalism as a mechanism for fun. It's merely where I was when the event happened. So I had been very traumatized for about 3 years, and I was aware that I wasn't having fun in some way, that this was a problem for me because I think of myself as a fun person and I like it a lot. I'm also political, and so that's my second disclaimer. Wait, I'm not proposing fun as an antidote for grief or sadness or the complicated political situation. No, not the way resilience is falsely and I think dangerously promoted as an antidote to loss, for example. So no, it's not an antidote for something, but I think of myself as a fun person, and that this funness kind of helps me go on. And in this gap of fun, I was sort of aware that there was a kind of life maintenance mechanism missing. So this was where I was. We had ended up there. We were supposed to go to a very serious lecture, and we were late, so we decided to just walk around, and I walked into Saks Fifth Avenue, and I ended up on the 4th floor, and I ended up trying on this coat, and then we ended up, my best friend and I, she's supposed to be here, but I don't think she is, Dana. We literally, has anybody, had never been in Saks Fifth Avenue. Are you all Saks Fifth Avenue people? Saks Fourth Avenue, much. So yeah, so you think of it as like, the high temple of capitalism and sort of pristine, but meanwhile it was a mess. It was really a mess. There was like construction everywhere, there were sales racks, and we literally loitered in the middle of this high temple to capitalism that had seen better days. And I saw this coat and I followed the coat, and then we just ended up loitering for a while. And after maybe an hour, I had like dismissed all of my anxieties about missing the lecture, about not being productive, about all these things. And I suddenly felt this feeling, and it was kind of familiar. And I sort of blurted out, oh, I'm having fun. And it was the first time in 3 years. And since then and since this incident with Albert, and this is all his fault because now I was rushed to do something. I was like, I'm thinking about writing about fun, and I can't think of any poetry books that are on fun, or theory books that are on fun. If anybody does anybody know of any? There's books on laughter. Albert has an amazing book on games and stunts. There's books on play. People like to talk about play a lot, right? If you're in academia, they love to talk about play. So anyway, as you know, then you realize like you're onto something. Like, oh my God, there's not yet a book on fun. So I got really excited, so then I had to generate something, and I started to ask people and record with people. And if you want to do this with me, because what I have discovered is that the recordings are much better than the email answers. But to have these conversations with people that begin with, how do you know when you're having fun? So I'm going to just read a little bit of my text, which is not a score, although that would have been ideal if it was, and I will not go over 8 minutes. Oh my God, I have like 2.5 minutes left, okay. So let's see. Okay, we say it's fun. We don't mean I'm having fun. I wanted to test the notion in space and time. I want to tell you, and I agree with Simone, it's a melting of self. You can't hold it, so you say it. I'm having fun. You try to hold it. Don't move. Okay, move. Just a little. Is it social? Am I having it right now? I'm a little worried. Is sex fun? For her, I think it is. She smiles. For me, it's complicated, and now I must go to thinking about my mother. Not my father and brother, dead, ungrieved, a Lubavitch, and who amongst you knows exactly what they are? They took over, erased my history. They plague me. I feel them at my heels. Not fun. Smug. Smug isn't fun. So I decided to eventually, because of this prompt and because I was doing it, I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to do one of these like Perec exhaustions, or like there's a book by Ponge, a French poet, that is a whole book that is just thoughts on soap. Soap, fun. And soap is kind of fun. Foam is fun, right? If my day feels entrapped, I want a little. Lightness, playful. Play is related. Is it on the edge of fun? You can't enter play without a little of that tickle. Language has, for many of us, been fun. There is a certain look on someone's face when they get the pronoun wrong, or they say the word gyp, or retarded, or oversee before realizing the long, dark chapters from which these arise. Jonathan Franzen wrote a book called The Corrections that should have been called The Reproductions. My friend Tick likes the book, so I figured out that even though I adore him, he's a liberal. A not two, and we are no longer friends. Friendship can be very fun. It is at least a good time in the middle of the loss of everything. A good time in the loss of everything to recall Proust and how long life is and how the friendships come and go but don't go away. Sue wasn't very fun when she insisted I was depressed and sexually abused. How the way I say it, having a good time, is not exactly the same thing as having fun, but still a good time. I reassure all the people with whom I spent time during that time, about which I say when I did not have fun, but we had a nice time. Beyond necessity, occasional hilarity, elation, ecstasy, ephemeral, excess, extreme sports, extreme dietary plans, extreme living, extreme hallucinatory drug tripping, a little bit about the French. So I have this theory that the French have fun planned into their day, but the French would never say that. And I'm probably wrong. But anyway, we can talk about that later. It's a longer story. But a little bit about the French. Cheese is fun. There's really no other point to it, right? En table is fun. Morning coffee and the ritual of making it. Boredom is fun. Poetry marathon. Speaking of which, Stacy Zamazik at the project March 9th, she read, and from her book, I like your fun meter. Someone says to her, I like your fun meter. It goes up every time someone says that. They laugh because involuntary. That's Bergson. In this TV show, Russian Doll, Max says to Nadia, are you having fun? Over and over and over again, she says it. Nadia says, fun is for suckers, Max. 2 minutes ago, I turned 36, and I'm staring down the barrel of my own mortality. It always beats fun. One of my interviewees, writer, part of it is duration, coming off my nightlife years. Now I feel it as labor. I covet fun people. I am not a particularly fun person. I'm studying what it means to be a fun person. She says to me, and now self-care is subsumed to the work of self-care. Yoga. LitHub. In 1903, Angela Anais Juana Antolina Rosa and Edelmira Nin E. Klumel is born. Anais Nin is fun. Note that Pratt can cover the cost of 1 glass of wine per person. Yesterday when I was leaving, I quoted someone who had watched your movies and said, she makes being a lesbian look like such fun, and you said, but it is. Bergson. Funny is human, as in making fun. Fun is animal, poking fun at the line in the book of animal poems. On the cow, she writes, is this how you thought mercy would look? And we just laughed at that line a lot. Marcella Durand, fun and, quote, pressure of absence keeps us contained, that we might have it or be it, like responsibility, like Mr. Rogers, pleasure in each other, relaxed enough for love. Carla comes from Eitel and Simone, moved by simultaneous witness and commitment to happiness. Justin Vivian Bond says glamour is resistance. We are talking about the unfortunate style failure of Elizabeth Warren, or I am among a group that is doing so. Is it misogynist? I can't help it. I don't much care about Elizabeth Warren. It may have been the native blood, or before that. Does Elizabeth Warren have a whimsical streak? We are at the big party where I love the celebrated person, and I'm amazed to be looking out over the sea of male heads sitting in front of me. I tell Patricia Spears-Jones what Vivian says, that glamour is resistance. Patricia says, I have no idea what that means. I don't either. But I say something, filler. Maybe Vivian and I are on a similar track, that no matter what is storming that no matter what is storming, you have to have this thing, or glamour, or laughter, or sex, or coffee, or dog, or children. But how is any of it fun? Fun could be any of them, or walking, or being a kid playing where there was just yesterday a bomb. I don't know if that's what Vivian means. She might just mean that no one notices you if you aren't glamorous. I don't think that's what she means. Being noticed isn't for everyone. No one notices you having fun, but they know you are fun. John says, Jen and I were saying to each other that you are fun, and then I wasn't, or I was, but I wasn't having it. And I'll just end with this. I generated this in a class. I had people write an index, and so I wrote an index also. Index, fun, where is it located? What isn't, how to reach for it, if reaching for it is corrupt, or if it's better than Buddhism in making life possible, if the Buddhists are having fun, if astrology is better than astronomy, if therapy lasts forever. Thanks.